This is a story about the first mammal wiped out by climate change. But was that really the reason? On a tiny speck of land lost in the vastness of our ocean, a tiny creature lived its entire existence, a secret from the world. But the story of its end would make shocking global headlines all over the world. This is the story of the first mammal to be officially erased by climate change, and what its extinction reveals about us. Yes, us humans. This is not a ghost story from the past or a warning about some distant dystopian future. No, this is happening right now. The Bramble Cay Melomys, a small rat-like rodent, was declared extinct in 2019, but it wasn't hunted. Neither did it succumb to disease. It was washed away. Yes, washed away. Its home, a low-lying coral cay right on the edge of the Great Barrier Reef, was swallowed by the rising sea. This little animal is now the first name on a list we never wanted to create, at least not intentionally. Mammals driven to extinction by human-induced climate change. Yes, we caused it. Its disappearance is a tragic milestone, and it's the final silent alarm we can no longer afford to ignore. The Melomys was the only mammal endemic to the Great Barrier Reef, meaning it existed nowhere else on Earth. When it was first documented by Europeans in the 1840s, hundreds of them thrived there pretty good. They lived a simple life on their isolated patch of sand, feeding on the few plants that could grow. But that isolation, once a sanctuary, became the species' greatest vulnerability. Bramble Cay sits just 10 feet above sea level. As global temperatures climbed, the oceans began to swell. Between 1993 and 2010, the sea level in its corner of the world rose at twice the global average. Storms and high tides began to flood the island with increasing frequency and violence. No mercy at all. Imagine your entire world, your home, your food supply, your shelter, basically your whole world being consumed by a flood that never recedes. From 2004 to 2014, the island's vegetation vanished. A staggering 97% of it was gone. It was as if a fire had ripped through the only grocery store for 1,000 miles, leaving just 3 out of every 100 items on the shelves. Yeah, imagine that. The Melomys lost its food, and it lost its cover. Maybe its lover, haha. When researchers mounted a final desperate search in 2014, they found, nothing. Not one. The last confirmed sighting was in 2009. They had simply vanished. The official cause of death was not a predator or a plague. It was habitat loss driven by sea level rise. The Bramble Cay Melomys was a casualty of our changing climate. The loss of the Melomys is a tragedy, and it's permanent. But it's also a warning. If you believe these are the stories that must be told, that we have an obligation to bear witness to what is happening to our planet, then please hit that subscribe button. It allows us to make sure this conversation continues. The story of this one small rodent is a brutal modern wake-up call, but it follows a long, sorrowful pattern of loss. Long before climate change was the imminent threat, we were finding other ways to push life to the very edge. Consider the thylacine, the animal known as the Tasmanian tiger. It was no tiger at all, but a magnificent carnivorous marsupial. It once roamed mainland Australia, but by the time Europeans arrived, its last stand was on the island of Tasmania. Fearing for their livestock, settlers hunted the thylacine relentlessly. The government itself placed a bounty on its head in 1888. The last known thylacine, a male named Benjamin, died alone in a cage at the Hobart Zoo in 1936, just 59 days after the species was granted official protection. Sad. We didn't kill the thylacine with our climate. We killed it with our cruelty. Or the passenger pigeon. It's almost impossible to comprehend. But in the 1800s, this was the most abundant bird in North America. There were billions of them. Their flocks weren't just flocks. They were rivers of life flowing across the sky, so immense they would darken the sun for hours, even days. Yes, that much. It seemed inconceivable they could ever disappear. But they were hunted for cheap meat on an industrial scale, as the very forests they depended on were cut down around them. The last wild one was shot in 1900, and in 1914, the last passenger pigeon on Earth, a female named Martha, died at the Cincinnati Zoo. From billions to absolute zero, all within a single human lifetime. And perhaps you've heard of Lonesome George. He was a Pinta Island tortoise from the Galapagos, the last of his kind. For decades, he was called the rarest creature in the world. His subspecies was decimated in the 19th century by whalers who hunted them for food. It's always us, right? Yeah. Then, an army of invasive goats released on the island devoured the vegetation, destroying their habitat. George was found in 1971, a solitary survivor. After decades of failed breeding attempts, he died in 2012, and his entire subspecies vanished with him. A rodent erased by the tide, a tiger hunted to oblivion, a bird that once darkened the very skies, a tortoise that died completely alone. Their stories are different, but they all share the same author, us. The extinction of the Bramble Cay Melomys is not just another sad story in that book. It marks the beginning of a new and terrifying chapter, the era of climate extinction. It is the undeniable proof that our actions now have the power to delete entire species from existence. The Melomys was the first mammal we lost to a warming planet. The only question left to ask is, who will be next? And how many more names will we add to that list before we finally wake up? I'm MJ, this is Quick History, and we're just getting started. Hit that subscribe button and leave a like, it goes a long way.